Ever wondered what you would do if you encountered a wild animal? Imagine the adrenaline pumping through your veins, the sudden rush of fear, and the instinctive need to survive. Well, wonder no more. Today we're delving into the essential knowledge of surviving wild animal attacks. We'll be sharing 13 practical tips to help you navigate such heart-stopping situations. These are not just tips, but potential lifesavers. So grab your explorer's hat and your sense of adventure. Stay tuned as we dive into our first tip. Tip number 1, stay calm. When you encounter a wild animal, your instinct might scream for you to panic, but let me assure you, that's the last thing you want to do. Panic can cloud your judgment, lead to rash decisions, and escalate the situation. Instead, take a deep breath. Staying calm allows you to think clearly, assess the situation, and act appropriately. It's a skill that can potentially save your life in the wild. Remember, your calmness can make a difference. Tip number 2, make yourself appear larger. In the wild, size can often be a deterrent. Many animals will think twice before attacking something that appears larger than them. You can do this by raising your arms, standing on your tiptoes, or opening up your jacket. If you have a backpack, hold it above your head. It's all about creating an illusion of being bigger than you actually are. Remember, in the grand theatre of the wilderness, perception is reality. Size matters in the animal kingdom. Tip number 3, avoid making eye contact. In the wild, locking eyes can often be misconstrued as a challenge, a threat even. It's an unspoken language that many animals use to establish dominance. So if you come across a wild creature, it's best to avert your gaze. Look away, glance at the ground, or simply focus on something else around you. Remember, we're not here to pick fights with nature's inhabitants. It's not a staring contest. Tip number 4, move slowly. This is crucial because wild animals are often alarmed by sudden movements. Imagine you're in their shoes, or rather, paws. Anything unexpected can be perceived as a threat, triggering their natural instinct to defend themselves. So when you're in their territory, the subtlety of your movements can make all the difference. Maintain a calm demeanor, and remember, you're not in a race against them. After all, it's not about who's the fastest, but who's the smartest. Slow and steady wins the race. Tip number 5, never turn your back on the animal. It may sound counterintuitive, but turning your back can trigger an animal's predatory instinct. It's a signal that you're vulnerable, and it could provoke an attack. Instead, remain facing the animal while slowly retreating. This shows that you're not a threat, but you're also not prey. It's a delicate balance between respect and dominance. Remember, in the wild, it's all about communication. Keep your eyes on the prize. Tip number 6, do not run. It might seem counterintuitive, but running can trigger a chase response in many animals. It's a primal instinct hardwired into their brains. When they see something fleeing, their predator instincts kick in and they give chase. So even though every fiber of your being might be screaming to bolt, resist the urge. Instead, back away slowly, maintaining a non-threatening posture. Remember, your aim is to convince the animal you are not a threat. Stand your ground. Tip number 7, make noise. Believe it or not, your voice can be a powerful deterrent to many wild animals. Shouting, clapping, and banging pots together can create a racket that's loud enough to scare off curious creatures. It's all about asserting your presence and creating an unfriendly environment for them. Animals are instinctively cautious of unknown noises, so a sudden burst of sound can often send them running. Remember, in the wild, silence isn't always golden. Your voice is your weapon. Tip number 8, use your surroundings. In the face of a wild animal, your environment becomes your best ally. Look for trees to climb, rocks to hide behind, or bodies of water to cross. Use the terrain to put distance or obstacles between you and the creature. If in a forest, you might even use branches to make yourself seem larger. Remember, you're not just surviving, but thriving in the wild. Make the environment work for you. Tip number 9, do not feed wild animals. It's natural to want to share your trail mix with a cute squirrel, but resist the temptation. Feeding wildlife not only disrupts their natural diet, but can also lead to increased aggression. Animals may lose their fear of humans and start to associate us with food. This dependence on humans can be dangerous for both parties involved. Plus, it's illegal in many places. Remember, wild animals are not pets. They are best admired from a distance, for their safety and yours. Tip number 10. Know your animals. It's vital to understand the behaviors of different types of wild creatures. Each species has its own set of signals and reactions. For instance, while some animals may view direct eye contact as a challenge, others might perceive it as a non-threatening gesture. Recognizing these nuances can mean the difference between a peaceful encounter and a dangerous confrontation. In the wild, information is your greatest ally, so do your research and stay informed. After all, knowledge is power. Tip number 11. Fight back when necessary. There may be instances where all other tactics fail and you're left with no choice but to defend yourself. Now, this doesn't mean you go looking for a fight, but rather you're prepared to protect your life. Use any available tool or weapon, aim for sensitive areas, and make your hits count. The goal is to create an opportunity for escape, not to win a trophy. Remember, your safety is paramount. Defend yourself if you must. Tip number 12, carry bear spray. In bear-prone areas, this can be your most effective defense. Bear spray contains capsaicin, a pepper derivative that irritates a bear's eyes and respiratory system, giving you a chance to safely retreat. It's a non-lethal tool that creates a cloud barrier between you and the bear. Remember, the goal is not to harm the bear, but to deter an attack. Be sure to familiarize yourself with its operation before you venture out. Be prepared. Our final tip, always tell someone where you're going. Venturing into the wilderness can be exhilarating, but it's crucial to remember that safety comes first. Whether you're hiking, camping, or simply exploring, letting someone know your whereabouts can be a game changer. If an unforeseen situation arises, like a wild animal encounter, having someone aware of your location can expedite help when you need it the most. So, before stepping into the great outdoors, make a call. Send a message, leave a note, stay connected. In conclusion, surviving a wild animal encounter requires calmness, awareness, and preparedness. From the simple act of remaining calm, making yourself appear larger, to avoiding direct eye contact, every tip we've shared is a crucial step in your survival strategy. Utilizing slow movements, never turning your back, and understanding when to fight back are all essential. Always remember to carry bear spray, never feed wild animals, and let someone know your plans. These 13 tips are your map to navigating these encounters. Remember, your safety is in your hands.